In today's video, I'll teach you how to crochet this beautiful stitch keychain. And to crochet this amigurumi, I used a 2mm crochet hook size. You also need tapestry needle, pins, scissors, stitch markers. Of course, you need stuffing. And the yarn that I used is this one, Friends Cotton 84. It's 100% cotton yarn from Hobby. This light color here is number 83. For the darker blue tone, I decided to use the mercerized version, and the number is 84. For the inner part of the ears, I used this pink mercerized color, number 44. And for the nose, I used this darker, even darker blue tone, which is number 82, also from Hobby. I have the label here. So let's get it started. So let's start crocheting the eyes of our stitch. We start with a slip knot. And we make 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. Now we crochet from the second chain, from the hook. We make 1 increase. So I'll insert my crochet hook here and make 1 increase. One single crochet. Oops. In this last chain, we make 4 single crochets together. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, 1 single crochet in the following chain, and 1 increase in the last chain. And this is our round number 1. Although we started with the foundation chain, we will work around the chain, forming a spiral, and we end here the first round with 10 single crochets. Round number 2, I like to make the single crochet and mark with the stitch marker so we don't get lost. Round number 2, we make 2 increases. So here I made the first stitch. I will work in the same stitch again to make the increase. Second increase. 1 single crochet. 4 increases. 1. 2. 3. 4. 1 single crochet and 2 increases. 1 and 2. And you see that we are creating a perfect oval shape with this crochet piece. And now we work in the third and last round. Make the first single crochet, mark with the stitch marker, and we make, so I did the first single crochet and now I make 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet. Now we make 1 single crochet and 1 increase 4 times. So 1 increase, 1 increase, this was the second, 1 increase, this is the third, 1 increase, fourth and last one. Now we make 1 single crochet and make 1 single crochet and 1 increase twice. 1 increase, this was the first, first, 1 increase, the second, and we finish this part of the amigurumi. Now you cut a big piece of thread to sew. You can pull the yarn. Let me remove the stitch marker. And the way that I like to measure the amount of yarn, I simply pass the yarn around the crochet piece that I'm going to sew. Like this. You can leave the yarn a bit loose, that's okay. If the yarn contours the amigurumi part that you're going to sew twice, then this is more than enough to sew. So this is the amount of thread that I have, and you need to crochet another piece exactly like that to sew to the amigurumi. So let's start crocheting the head of our amigurumi. So first of all, we start with 8 single crochets in the magic ring. So I did my magic ring here, and now 8 single crochets inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Pull the thread to close the magic ring. And this is our round number 1. Round 2, we make 8 increases and we end up with 16 single crochets. So I like to make the first stitch and mark with the stitch marker. In that case, we mark the first stitch of the increase. Now I will make 7 more increases and I'll end round number 2 with 16 single crochets. I will keep doing it and I'll be back. So I finished round 2 with 16 single crochets, and now we move on to round 3. And in this round, we make 1 single crochet and 1 increase 8 times. So 1 single crochet, mark this first stitch of the round, 1 increase, and you need to repeat the sequence 8 times. So I will keep doing here and I will come back when I finish the round. I finished round 3 with 24 single crochets, and now we move on to round 4. Mark the first stitch. Round 4, we make 3 single crochets and 1 increase 6 times, okay? So, let me close it. Okay, so we make 3 single crochets and 1 increase 6 times, and we'll end up with 30 single crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, increase. And this is the sequence that you have to repeat until you reach the stitch marker again. I will keep crocheting and I'll be back. I finished round number 4 with 30 single crochets, and now we move on to round number 5. Make the first single crochet. You know the rule. Mark the stitch marker. And round number 5, we make 2 single crochets and 1 increase. So 1, 2, increase. Now we make 4 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, 1 increase, and you have to repeat the sequence 4 more times, okay? So 4 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times. I will keep doing it and I will come back when I finish the sequence. So I did the sequence, 4 single crochets and 1 increase 5 times, and you see that I still have 2 single crochets here left before I reach the stitch marker. So you simply make 2 single crochets to complete the round. And with this, we end round 5 with 36 single crochets. So now we move on to round 6. And round 6, we make 5 single crochets and 1 increase 6 times. And we end this round with 42 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 1 increase. Just repeat the sequence until you reach the stitch marker. We'll keep doing it and I will be back. So I finished round 6 and I have 42 single crochets in this round. Now we will just work in continuous rounds. So from round 7 to round 15, we will just make 42 single crochets in each round, okay? So repeat 42 single crochets for 9 rounds. I will keep repeating the sequence and I will be back when I finish it. So I finished crocheting round 15. I have 9 continuous rounds with 42 single crochets in each round. So now, before we move on to round 16, we will change colors. So I will undo the last stitch and change to the lighter blue color. And we make the first single crochet of round 16 with the new color. Mark with the stitch marker. Now it's a bit easier and kind of obvious where the new round begins because of the color change, but even so, I still like to use the stitch marker. And for round 16, we make 5 single crochets and 1 decrease 6 times. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. I will keep crocheting the sequence and I will come back when I finish it. So I finished round 16 and I have 36 single crochets here. So now we will stop crocheting the head for a while because we need to sew the eyes to the head of the amigurumi. And you will understand why we need to do that now. So the idea is that we will sew this lighter part to the head of the amigurumi, and then we insert the safety eye on top of it so it passes through both layers, both the lighter blue color and also the head. So we will sew this part between round 6 and 14. The idea is that we will have like one round, one dark blue round between the eye and the lighter blue color here, okay? I don't want 2 or 3, just 1 round, and that's it. So let's sew one part, and then we continue sewing the second. But in order to get things in place, you know, I'm a fan of pins and I don't live without them, especially when we are talking about sewing. So I will just put some pins here so it doesn't escape while I sew. But something important that I should have said earlier, but that's okay. We still haven't sewed anything. You see that I'm placing lots of pins. This is the right side of the work. This should be the right. There is no right or wrong, but I like to use this nomenclature when I'm explaining. So this is the right and this is the wrong side of the crochet piece. We are attaching it like this with the wrong side facing us, okay? So the right side will be sewed to the head. So I sewed the first part and I haven't fastened off. I still haven't done that because whenever I have 2 parts of an amigurumi to sew, I like to do both parts, and once I am 100% sure that they are well placed, then I fasten off. Because in case I sew this one and it's a bit crooked to the side, for example, I still have the yarn here attached and it's easy to frog and sew it again. But believe me, if you use pins, you will not need to frog anything. So I did the first one. Now I will make the same procedure with the second position here. Use the pins to make sure that they are in the right place. And we should leave some space here between the eyes. So I have like 1, 2, 3. Here is like half of the stitch, but 3, 4 single crochets between the eyes, that's enough. Don't leave it like this too far from each other, because then it will be weird when we sew the nose, when we crochet and sew the nose. So 3 single crochets between the eyes like this is enough, okay? So just pin everything. And once it's pinned and you compare with the other eye, see if they are in the same line, if they are well placed, then we can sew it and fasten off. I will sew the second part and come back, but just so you know, here I place the eye in the bottom and you see how cute it is. The main idea with this lighter part of the amigurumi is that you have the safety eyes placed in the bottom. I don't want it in the middle or on the top or on the side. I want it here, like very close to the edge of the light part of the eye. Okay? So I will sew this part and I will come back. So now that I finished sewing both parts, we will insert the eyes. I like to, first of all, create a gap between the stitches. So as I mentioned before, I want the eyes to reach the bottom of this crochet piece here. So I open the gap like this. I also have this crochet accessory here, which I bought in a Brazilian store actually, but if you don't have it, don't worry. You can use another larger crochet hook, for example, to open the gap. And then you insert the safety eye. Look how cute it is. So now that I inserted both eyes and I like where they are, the placement, you see that they are reaching here, the bottom of the light blue part of the amigurumi. Now I can attach the washers here. to secure the crochet piece and continue crocheting the head. So let's move on to round 17. And round 17, we make 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. So 1 single crochet. Let me mark with the stitch marker. 1 decrease. Now we make 2 single crochets and 1 decrease 8 times. So I will keep crocheting the sequence and I will come back. 2 single crochets and 1 decrease. So I finished crocheting the sequence and I still have 1 single crochet left here. I will just make this single crochet to reach the stitch marker. And I finished round 17 with 27 single crochets. So now is a good time, it's a good moment to start stuffing your amigurumi. I will not stuff more than this for now. Let's crochet round 18 and then we continue stuffing it. So round 18, we make 1 single crochet and 1 decrease 9 times. 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. This is the sequence that we have to do now. 1 single crochet, 1 decrease. You repeat 9 times. I will keep doing it here and I will come back when I finish it. So I finished round 18 and I have 18 single crochets here. On the last round, round 19, we will make 9 decreases and end up with 9 single crochets. And this will be the last round. But before we do it, I strongly advise you to stuff your amigurumi a bit more. Now, let's move on to the last round. But you have to make 9 decreases. This is usually one of the most difficult parts for everyone, the final decreases. This is the moment where we start to have some gaps between stitches. So pay attention very carefully to the stitches that you're crocheting in this part. I always like to make sure that the yarn is tight in my crochet hook to avoid creating these gaps. Don't leave the yarn too loose here, always tight, so that way you avoid creating gaps between stitches. So just decrease until you reach the stitch marker. I finished crocheting the last round here. You can cut the yarn. You can cut the yarn here and leave a piece of thread to make the inverted magic ring. But I still feel that my amigurumi is a bit empty. And although the hole here is very small, it is still possible to continue stuffing the amigurumi. For small holes like this, I like to stuff my amigurumi with tweezers. They are extremely helpful. So we finished the head of the amigurumi. See how cute our stitch is? And you see here, it's easier to observe that stuffing makes a big difference, okay? So it's now very firm. I didn't open my stitches. Here is easier to see from the back of the amigurumi. You see that the stitches are very well aligned and it's firm. I didn't overstuff it in a way that I opened the stitches. And it's very, very nice. So let's move on to the nose of the amigurumi. To crochet the nose, we start with the magic ring. And we make 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochets. Pull the thread to close it. And now we move on to round number 2. Round 2, we make 3 single crochets together. So you insert the crochet hook here in the first stitch of round number 1, and you make 1, 2, and 3 single crochets together. So round 2, we make 3 single crochets together and 1 single crochet in the following stitch, and you repeat the sequence 3 times. So I will do that with you because it's a very short round. So 1, 2, 3 in the same stitch. Mark the first one that you did with the stitch marker so you don't get lost, and 1 single crochet in the following stitch. 1, 2, 3 together, 1 single crochet. And for the third and last time, 1, 2, 3, and 1 single crochet. And this is the nose of our stitch. You see that we created a small triangle. This will be sewed here in the middle of the face. Look how cute. So let's sew it together now. And as always, we use pins to locate everything and position things correctly. I'll put a pin here in the middle to secure it. You see that I have the tip of the triangle here up. I'll also put another pin here on the top. And once it's well placed, we can start sewing. So I finished sewing the nose to the head of the amigurumi. And now let's move on to the last part to crochet the ears. So we start with the pink color and we make 7 chains. So slip knot, 7 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chains. And in the second chain from the hook, you make 1 increase. So insert the crochet hook in the second chain and you make 1 increase. Now you make 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. In the last chain, you make 4 single crochets together. 1, 2, 3, and the last one, 4. And now we continue with the other side of the chains. You make 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and in the last loop here, you make 1 increase. You end this round with 16 single crochets. This is our round number 1. Round 2, we start with an increase. So here, in the first stitch of round number 1, we make 1 increase and mark with the stitch marker. Second increase, and now you make 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. Now you make 4 increases. 1 increase, 2, 3, 4, fourth increase. Now you make 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 increases. 1 increase and second increase. And you end round number 2 with 24 single crochets. See that we created an oval crochet piece. Round number 3, let me make the first single crochet and mark. Round number 3, we make 1 single crochet, I already did here, and 1 increase, twice, 1 and increase. Now you make 4 single crochets, so 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and 1 single crochet and 1 increase 4 times. So 1 increase, this was the first, 1 increase, this was the second, 1 increase, this was the third, 1 increase, the fourth and last one. Now you make 4 single crochets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you make 1 single crochet and increase twice again. So 1 and increase, 2, increase. And this is the end of round 3. We end this round with 32 single crochets. Round number 4. Round 4, we make 2 single crochets and 1 increase twice, 4 single crochets here. Then in this corner, you make 2 single crochets, 1 increase 4 times again, 4 single crochets here, and then 2 single crochets and 1 increase twice here at the other part of the corner again. And this is our round number 4. Now we change to the blue color, the dark blue color. And to change color, I will frog this last stitch a little bit, and I attach the blue color here. Finish the stitch, and we will make the 5th and last round of the year. So 1 single crochet. If you want, you don't even need to mark with the stitch marker because it's kind of obvious where is the new round. And here you make 3 single crochets and 1 increase twice. This was the first. 1, 2, 3, and now the second time. Now you make 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see that the sequence is very similar. Now we make 3 single crochets and 1 increase 4 times, 4 single crochets here, and 3 single crochets and 1 increase twice. So we end this round. I will keep crocheting it and I will come back when I finish it. So I finished crocheting here. I have the other piece here already. And we need, of course, to leave a good amount of thread to sew it to the head. We created a perfect oval shape here from the foundation chain, but we need it to be in the shape of a drop like this. So that's why it's important to leave a long thread. We will first of all sew this tip of the ear like this to close this part, and then with the remaining thread we will sew it like this in the side of the head. So with the help of the tapestry needle, we will sew this part together. And it's only necessary to sew 5 single crochets here on the tip of our drop, okay? You don't need to sew it here until the middle, otherwise it will be very weird. Just 5 single crochets, passing the tapestry needle from one side to the other like this. It's very, very simple. So you pass it in zigzag like this from one side to the other. I did 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll do 1 more single crochet to sew the tip. You pull the thread, and here it is. Now that I sewed both ears, we will attach it to the head. And as always, of course, we need to pin it first to make sure that we got to the right place. So I will pin both of them. So I think now it looks super cute. You see that I simply place the pins on the side, in both sides right next to the eyes. I think it looks adorable. So now we can sew it. And I will just sew this part here, because otherwise the ears would be like dropping out of the head of the amigurumi, and I don't want it. I want it to be close. So I will just sew the tip of the ear to the head, and also this part here, so it gets closer to the head of the amigurumi. So I finished sewing the ears, and now our cute stitch is ready. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and remember to give me a thumbs up, and remember also to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new tutorials, tips and tricks that I bring here every week.